One of my favorite things about custom keyboard is being able to change the aesthetic of your custom keyboard. Different keyboards, different brands, different keycaps is what really configures and what makes your keyboard look different from other people. One brand I've been following but never really got to try out is called Mode Designs. They have the Mode 65, Mode Envoy, but today I actually have a Mode keyboard with me. They actually reached out to me to review their latest keyboard, the Mode Tempo. So the Mode Tempo actually comes in their carrying case, and this is the first time I've taken a look at their carrying case, and it's actually really insane. Aside from the main two compartments that usually come in a carrying case, they have actually extra 4 different side compartments, I would say, to store different things. So let's do a quick run through of all the accessories you will receive with your Mode Tempo. First up, we have, I believe, what they call the lattice structure gaskets. I'll talk more about it later on, but that is how you mount the keyboard basically. Our next bag is actually heads for the screwdriver that they actually provide and screws. Following that, we have our daughter board and JST cable, and last but not least, we have a set of Durock stabilizers. On the top compartment, you will find a keycap and switch puller, a mode screwdriver, a syringe filled with Krytox 205 grade 0, your plate, and your PCB. So for our plate, I believe we have a FR4 plate, one of my preference when it comes to custom keyboards as well. As for our PCB, it is basically equipped with everything you would ever need: hot swappable 5-pin, Kale hot swap sockets, screw-in stabilizers, everything you could ask for, south-facing sockets, configurable with QMK and VIA. Also, for the first time holding the Mode PCB with the letter Mode on top there, every Instagrammer keyboard person does it at the same time, and holy shit, it looks so good. In real life, it looks insane. As for our foams provided, we actually have 3 main foams. We have PCB foam, plate foam, and PE foam. So to get us started, I'll be installing stabilizers looped with Krytox 205 grade 0. And if you couldn't tell by now, the Mode Tempo actually has a HHKB layout. And as much as stabilizers are boring, stabilizers are what make your keyboard sound good. If you have looped your stabilizers really well, they make your keyboard sound really good. So do not rush looping your stabilizers. So for my foam configuration, I will be going with plate foam without the PE foam. I believe most of us would prefer no PE foam because I wouldn't be able to tell what the personality of the board is. So I will not be running the PE foam. Now that our PCB sandwich is basically done, we can move on to our switches. For switches, I'll be using the Mode Obscura linear switches. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but this is the first time I'm using the switches as well. But yeah, the switches are somewhat towards the clackier side. It has a really strong feedback. I really like the strong feedback, and it bottoms out at 65 grams. A linear switch, absolutely love it. Okay, now that our PCB sandwich is fully done, we have fully equipped our switches, stabilizers, and we are ready to build in our case. The case can be found in a canvas bag at the bottom compartment of your carrying case. Below the chassis, you will be able to find your accent piece. The accent piece is basically what goes at the back of the keyboard, not on the bottom, but at the back. So that's basically an accent you would add to your keyboard. The one I have with me, I have a brass option and a PVD silver. The color configuration or the aesthetic I was going for is that really clean and minimal look that I think represents Mode best, which is basically like white and silver or white and gold. You get the idea. The chassis itself is actually pretty hefty, mainly because of the counterweight at the back. So the counterweight, the accent piece, and the chassis can be configured to your personal color. They have a whole bunch of different options. I believe they even have wood for the accent piece. Pretty cool. So the first thing you want to do before you install anything else is install the rubber feet. The rubber feet is somewhat special. You will have to remove the counterweight to install your rubber feet. And I actually really like the idea because some rubber feet that we use to paste on the back would normally fall off after a certain amount of time. So something like this, I believe, would be more resistant to time in general. You will be able to use it for a longer period of time. And here comes how we are going to mount the keyboard. The keyboard itself is actually mounted using these structures that they have created. These are lattice structures. They have non-lattice structures, which is basically this black, I would say gaskets. Yeah, let's just call it gaskets, alright? So you either have a full block of black structure or a lattice structure that is somewhat bouncier. Provides for a bouncier experience basically. So what you're gonna do is basically insert them into the slots on the chassis. The chassis is a one piece. So all you have to do is insert those lattice structures into the chassis and place your PCB sandwich on top. After all that is done, you basically have your keyboard fully built. For the keycaps, as I mentioned, I was going for that clean, aesthetic, minimalistic kind of aesthetic to the keyboard. I said aesthetic so many times in that sentence. But yes, I will be using their anthracite keycaps. It's basically white and grey silver kind of thing. That is also why I decided to go with the PVD silver instead of the gold. Because the brass can't really be seen, if I use the keyboard, I'll probably see the silver and the white and the keycaps. I wouldn't see the brass at the bottom. So yeah. So I finished up the build by installing the keycaps, and we're gonna roll some sound tests. In general, I actually really like the board. The sound profile it creates is actually really special. It's not like a normal custom keyboard you would normally hear. That is also mainly because of how heavy the keyboard is. It is able to achieve a sound with more depth in it. Because the keyboard is heavier, the sound just feels like there is more depth into it, and that really brings out the switches, really brings out the keycaps, it brings out the structure of the whole keyboard. So, if you guys are interested in Mode Tempo, please do check it out. It's a beautiful board, I really like it. But do take note, it is HHKB layout. You can change a few things on it, like split backspace, different layout options basically, but it is still a HHKB layout at the end of the day. Aside from that, subscribe if you guys want to see more keyboard videos. Leave a like, comment your thoughts on the keyboard down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.